The stars looked different from this part of the galaxy. Captain William Grant stood on the bridge of the ISV Vanguard, his eyes fixed on the massive alien ship that floated in the darkness ahead. His heart beat faster, but his face showed nothing. This meeting would change everything. "Captain, they're hailing us," said Communications Officer Ryan Ellis. His voice was steady, but his fingers trembled slightly over the controls. "On screen," Grant ordered. The main display flickered to life. The face that appeared made several crew members step back. The alien had gray-blue skin, 4 yellow eyes, and a mouth filled with teeth that looked sharp enough to cut metal. This was a Zorian, the most feared species in known space. "I am Commander Vexcor of the Zorian Empire," the alien said, its voice deep and rough, even through the translation system. "State your purpose." Grant stepped forward. "I am Captain William Grant of the International Space Vessel Vanguard, representing the United Earth Alliance. We come with peaceful intentions to establish diplomatic relations." The Zorian's upper eyes narrowed. "Humans, we have heard of your kind. You are smaller than expected." Lieutenant Olivia Pierce stood beside Grant. She was the ship's tactical officer, but her background in xenopsychology made her valuable for first contact. She whispered, "They respect strength and directness, sir." Grant nodded slightly. "We may be small, Commander Vexicor, but we've survived in a harsh universe. We would prefer peace between our peoples, but we are prepared for all outcomes." The alien was silent for a moment. In the Zorian Empire's 300 years of expansion, no species had ever spoken to them this way during first contact. Most begged for mercy or offered immediate surrender. "You will dock with our vessel," Vexcor finally said. "A small delegation may board for preliminary discussions." When the screen went dark, the bridge erupted in hushed conversations. "Are we really doing this?" asked Dr. Alan Murphy, the xenobiologist who had joined them from Earth Science Division. "Every report from our allies says the Zorians conquer or destroy. They don't negotiate." "They're negotiating with us," Grant said. "Let's find out why." The docking procedure took 2 hours. Grant selected his team carefully: himself, Lieutenant Pierce, Dr. Murphy, and 2 security officers, Sergeant Peter Howard and Corporal Maria Diaz. They wore their formal blue uniforms with the Earth Alliance insignia. No weapons as agreed. The Zorian ship interior was hot and humid. The corridors were tall and wide, built for beings larger than humans. The walls gleamed with a metal that seemed to shift colors as they walked past. Their escort was a Zorian soldier named Grax. He stood 8 feet tall, his powerful body covered in natural armor plates. He looked at the humans with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. "Your species is new to this region," Grax said as they walked. "Yet you have ships with technology nearly equal to ours." "How?" Dr. Murphy answered. "We believe in efficiency and innovation. We've had to be clever to survive." "Clever," Grax repeated the word like it tasted strange. "The weak often think themselves clever before they are conquered." Lieutenant Pierce smiled. "Is that what happened with the Drakari? I heard they held off your forces for 2 years despite being outnumbered." Grax stopped walking and turned to her. The humans tensed, but then the alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You are well informed for newcomers. The Drakari fought well, but they still fell. All do, eventually." They reached a large, circular chamber. Commander Vexcor waited inside with 3 other Zorians. They sat at a crescent-shaped table. The human delegation was directed to seats opposite them. "You have entered territory claimed by the Zorian Empire," Vexcor began without greeting. "Typically, we demand tribute or submission from new species we encounter." Grant leaned forward. "Earth and its colonies are independent territories. We don't offer tribute or submission to anyone. We are, however, open to mutually beneficial relationships." A female Zorian with elaborate markings on her faceplates hissed something in their language. Vexcor responded sharply. "Science Director Mazkal suggests we simply take what we want from your worlds." Vexcor translated. "It would be easier." "Easier, perhaps," Grant replied calmly. but not without cost. Humanity doesn't surrender easily. You would fight us? Another Zorian asked, sounding almost amused. Our empire spans 52 star systems. Our fleet numbers in the thousands. We would prefer not to fight at all, Grant said. But history shows that humans are most dangerous when cornered. We've survived plagues, world wars, climate collapse, and our own self-destructive tendencies. We reached the stars not because it was easy, but because it was difficult. That's who we are. The room fell silent. The Zorians exchanged glances. Show them, Vexcor ordered. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed images of Zorian battlecruisers destroying planets, of alien armies kneeling in surrender, of entire civilizations being absorbed into their empire. This is what happens to those who resist, Vexcor said. Lieutenant Pierce studied the images carefully. These are all from your victories. Where are the records of your losses? The question caused visible surprise among the Zorians. We do not. There are no. Vexcor seemed genuinely confused. The Zorian Empire does not lose. Dr. Murphy stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overcoming his fear. Every species faces setbacks. It's part of evolution. Are you saying the Zorians have never been defeated? Not in living memory, Mazcal said. Our history records only conquest and glory. Grant exchanged looks with his team. A species that had never known defeat would not understand the strength that comes from overcoming failure. Then perhaps we have something to teach each other, Grant said. Humans know both victory and defeat. We've learned from both. Vexcor leaned forward. All four eyes focused intently on Grant. You speak as equals. No species has done this in generations. We are equals, Grant said firmly. Different, but equal. The sooner your empire accepts this, the better our relations will be. The meeting continued for hours. The humans shared information about Earth, their colonies, their history. The Zorians revealed little but asked many questions. By the end, something had changed in the way the aliens looked at the humans. As the Earth delegation prepared to return to their ship, Commander Vexcor approached Grant privately. Your species is unexpected, the commander said. Our reports suggested humans would be easy to intimidate, yet you show no fear. Grant smiled slightly. We feel fear, Commander. We just don't let it control us. The High Command will want to study your people further before making any decisions about your status in our territory. We're not in your territory, Commander. We're in unclaimed space. But we welcome further peaceful contact. The Zorian made a gesture with his clawed hand that might have been respect. We will meet again, Captain Grant. Prepare your people. The Empire's attention is not always comfortable. As the human delegation returned to the Vanguard, Lieutenant Pierce moved beside Grant. Sir, I think we just did something no one has done before. What's that, Lieutenant? We made the most terrifying species in the galaxy uncertain. Grant watched as the massive Zorian ship turned slowly in space. Let's hope uncertainty leads to respect, because the alternative won't be good for either of us. The Vanguard pulled away, its engines glowing blue against the blackness of space. Behind them, the Zorian vessel remained motionless, watching. The first meeting was over, but both sides knew it was just the beginning. 3 months had passed since the first meeting between humans and Zorians. The relationship had progressed faster than anyone expected. Now, a human delegation stood on the surface of Zoria Prime, the homeworld of the galaxy's most feared species. No other alien race had ever received such an invitation. Dr. Samantha Wells breathed deeply, adjusting to the heavy, humid air. As lead scientist of the human team, she had spent weeks preparing for this visit. The blue-green sky overhead seemed to press down on them. Zoria Prime had higher gravity than Earth, making every step require more effort. Try not to show weakness, whispered Major Frank Collins, the security chief. His muscular frame handled the gravity better than most of the team. They respect strength above all else. I'm a scientist, not a warrior, Samantha replied quietly. But I understand. Their Zorian guide, Sub-Commander Thax, led them toward a massive structure carved from black stone. Unlike the sleek metal of their spaceships, Zorian ground architecture celebrated their ancient past. The building rose 10 stories high with carvings of battle scenes covering its walls. This is the Hall of Assessment, Thax explained. For 5,000 years we have brought representatives of other species here to determine their worth. Samantha noticed he didn't mention what happened to species deemed unworthy. Inside, the hall opened into a vast chamber. A group of Zorians waited for them, including Commander Vexcor, who had met the humans during first contact. At the center stood an imposing figure wearing elaborate armor decorated with symbols of rank. High General Zaxkar, Vexcor announced, Supreme Military, leader of the Zorian Empire. The High General examined the humans with all 4 of his yellow eyes. So small, he said finally. Yet you travel between stars and build machines that rival our own. Curious. Samantha stepped forward, following protocol they had established. High General, we bring greetings from Earth. We appreciate this historic opportunity to learn about each other. Learn? The High General made a sound like grinding stones. Yes? We will learn much about humans in the coming days. What followed was unlike any diplomatic mission in human history. The Zorians subjected the human delegation to a series of tests disguised as cultural exchanges. They brought the humans to training grounds where Zorian warriors demonstrated combat techniques. They showed factories where weapons were forged. They displayed historical records of their conquests. During a banquet on the 5th day, Science, Director Mazkal approached Samantha. The female Zorian had been watching the humans carefully throughout their visit. Your kind interests me, Mazkal said. Most species we encounter have obvious strengths. Natural armor, great size, special senses. Humans appear to have none of these advantages. Samantha smiled. We adapted differently. Our strength comes from our minds, our ability to work together, and our determination. Yet your historical records show humans fighting each other constantly, Mazkal noted. You nearly destroyed yourselves several times. We learn from our mistakes, Samantha replied. Each time we came close to destruction, we emerged stronger. The science director's head tilted. This concept of learning from failure, it is unusual to us. Later that evening, Major Collins found Samantha reviewing data in her quarters. They're testing us, he said. Every conversation, every tour, they're assessing our weaknesses. I know, Samantha nodded, but we're also learning about them. They've never encountered a species they considered an equal. They don't know how to handle us. On the 8th day, the humans were invited to observe a Zorian engineering project. They were building a massive power generator deep underground. As the group toured the facility, a support beam suddenly cracked. Warning alarms blared. Lieutenant Greg Foster, one of the human security team, was standing directly under the failing section. Without hesitation, he pushed 2 Zorian workers out of the way as the beam collapsed. The heavy metal struck him instead, pinning him to the ground. The Zorians froze, expecting the human to be crushed instantly. Instead, Foster remained conscious. Blood trickled from his mouth, but he spoke clearly to the trapped workers nearby, keeping them calm until help arrived. It took 20 minutes to lift the beam. By Zorian standards, the pain should have been unbearable. Yet Foster remained conscious and even attempted to stand when freed. His legs gave out and the medical team rushed him to a treatment pod. That night, Commander Vexcor visited the human quarters. Your officer will recover, he informed Captain Grant. Our medical technology can repair his injuries. Thank you, Grant replied. Foster was doing his job. His job was to die for aliens he met 8 days ago? Vexcor asked, genuine confusion in his voice. His job was to protect others if he could, Grant explained. It's what we do. Even at the cost of your own life? Sometimes, yes. The commander was silent for a long moment. High General Zaxkar wishes to speak with you tomorrow, alone. The next morning, Captain Grant stood before the High General in a private chamber. Ancient weapons decorated the walls, trophies from 1,000 battlefields. In 300 years, the High General began. No species has surprised us. We conquer. They submit. That is the way of things. He paced slowly around Grant. But humans, you do not follow the patterns we understand. We tend to make our own patterns, Grant replied. Science Director Mazkal has submitted her assessment of your species. The High General activated a holographic display showing reports and data collected during the humans' visit. She believes humans possess qualities we have not encountered before. You are physically weaker than most spacefaring races, yet you show no fear of us. You suffer pain, but do not surrender to it. You risk your lives for strangers. These behaviors defy our understanding. Grant remained silent, waiting. The Zorian Empire has existed for 5,000 years because we recognize threats. The High General continued. Your Lieutenant Foster showed strength that would impress a Zorian warrior. If all humans are like this, you could be the most significant challenge we have ever faced. Or the most significant allies, Grant suggested. The High General's eyes narrowed. Allies? The Zorian Empire does not have allies. We have subjects and enemies. Perhaps it's time for something new, Grant said. Later that day, as the human delegation prepared to return to their ship, Commander Vexcor delivered a message. The High Command has reached a decision. Humans will not be classified as a subject, species at this time. We will continue to study your kind. Lieutenant Pierce, who had accompanied Captain Grant on the original First Contact mission, translated the diplomatic language. They're not going to attack us. They're still trying to figure us out. Captain Grant nodded. It's a start. Tell your science teams to prepare their reports. Earth needs to know everything we've learned here. As their shuttle lifted off from Zoria Prime, Samantha Wells looked down at the alien world. They've never met a species they couldn't easily dominate, she said quietly. Until now, the most terrifying predators in the galaxy, Collins agreed, suddenly realizing they might not be at the top of the food chain after all. The shuttle accelerated into the sky, leaving behind a world of warriors who, for the first time in thousands of years, felt uncertainty about their place in the universe. 6 months had passed since the first contact between humans and Zorians. Diplomatic talks continued. A small human outpost had been established on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, to serve as a meeting point between the two species. Scientists from both sides worked together, sharing knowledge under careful supervision. Commander Vexicor stood in the observation room of the Zorian diplomatic vessel, watching Earth through the view screen. The blue planet turned slowly against the blackness of space. His second-in-command, Officer Krell, entered the room and bowed slightly. Commander, we have received a transmission from home. It is troubling. Vexcor turned. Speak. A group called the Warrior Faction has openly criticized the High Command's decision regarding humans. They believe we show weakness by negotiating instead of conquering. The High Command's decisions are not to be questioned, Vexcor said, sharply. The faction grows stronger each day, Commander. There are rumors they plan to take action to prove humans are no different from other lesser species. Vexcor's 4 eyes narrowed. What kind of action? Before Krell could answer, an emergency signal blared through the ship. On the main screen, a message appeared from Zorian intelligence. Vexcor read it silently, his face hardening. Prepare my shuttle, he ordered. I must speak with the humans immediately. On Europa, the alarm woke Captain Grant from a light sleep. He rushed to the control center where Lieutenant Olivia Pierce was already reviewing security feeds. Report, Grant demanded. We're detecting 3 unidentified ships approaching the outpost, Pierce said. They're not responding to hails. Energy signatures match Zorian attack vessels. Grant frowned. Why would Zorians attack their own diplomatic mission? Sir, Communications Officer Ellis called out. Commander Vexcor is requesting emergency communication. The Zorian commander's face appeared on screen. Captain Grant, you must evacuate your outpost immediately. Rogue elements from my world have broken away from the Empire's command. They seek to prove themselves by destroying your base. We have 37 staff members here, Grant replied. Evacuation will take time. You do not have time, Vexcor said grimly. They will arrive in 20 minutes. My ship is too far to intercept them. Grant turned to his officers. Sound the evacuation alarm. Get everyone to the emergency shuttles. Lieutenant Pierce, prepare defensive measures. As the alarm echoed through the outpost, people rushed to their evacuation stations. Scientists grabbed critical research data. Security teams took up defensive positions. The minutes ticked by with agonizing slowness. First enemy ship entering weapons range, Pierce reported. 17 minutes until our shuttles can launch. Open a channel, Grant ordered. When the communication system activated, he spoke clearly. This is Captain William Grant of the Earth Alliance. We are a scientific outpost with limited defenses. There are civilians here. Please cease your approach. The only response was a blast of energy that rocked the outpost. Warning lights flashed across the control panels. A section of the outer dome had been damaged. Return fire, Grant ordered. Target their weapon systems only. Europa's defense batteries fired, striking the lead Zorian ship. The vessel shuddered but continued its approach. 2 more ships appeared, moving to surround the outpost. Sir, Ellis called out, we're receiving a transmission from the attackers. A Zorian face appeared on screen. Unlike Commander Vexicor's controlled expression, this Zorian showed open contempt. I am War Leader Draz of the true Zorian Empire. Your kind has corrupted our leaders with talk of peace. We will show them the only proper way to deal with lesser species. Another blast hit the outpost stronger than the first. The lights flickered and emergency systems activated. Evacuation shuttles need 10 more minutes, Pierce reported. We won't last that long under this bombardment. Grant's mind raced. Then he made a decision. Lieutenant, transfer all power from non-essential systems to the shields. We need to buy time. That includes life support, sir, Pierce warned. Do it. We can breathe thin air for 10 minutes. As the air grew colder and harder to breathe, the outpost's shield strengthened, absorbing the next attack. On the command deck, staff worked frantically while wearing emergency oxygen masks. Shuttles launching in 5 minutes, Ellis reported, his voice muffled by his mask. Another blast hit the shields, then another. The outpost trembled with each impact. Shields at 30%, Pierce said. 4 minutes to evacuation. The main screen suddenly lit up with new activity. A massive ship had appeared near Jupiter. It was an Earth Alliance battlecruiser, the Defiant, responding to their distress call. This is Admiral Nancy Rodriguez of the Earth Alliance, a stern voice announced on all channels. Zorian vessels, cease your attack immediately or face consequences. War Leader Draz appeared on screen again. Another lesser species making threats. You have no concept of true power. The Defiant fired a warning shot that passed between the Zorian ships. The energy beam was larger than anything the attackers had used. That was a fraction of our main weapon's capacity, Admiral Rodriguez stated. The next will not miss. You have 1 minute to withdraw. The Zorian ships hesitated. Then suddenly they opened fire on the Defiant. The Earth battlecruiser's shields flared but held strong. Without further warning, the Defiant fired 3 precise shots. Each hit a weapons array on the Zorian vessels, disabling them without destroying the ships. Zorian vessels, power down. Your engines and prepare to be boarded, Rodriguez ordered. To everyone's surprise, a new ship appeared, Commander Vexicor's diplomatic vessel. It positioned itself between the Defiant and the rogue Zorian ships. Admiral Rodriguez, Vexicor's voice came through. These criminals have violated Zorian law as well as attacking your outpost. By our ancient codes, their punishment falls to us. There was a tense silence. Then Admiral Rodriguez responded, We will allow you to take custody of the attackers, Commander, but we require justice for the attack on our people. You shall have it, Vexicor promised. The eyes of both our worlds will witness their judgment. 2 days later, Captain Grant stood in Admiral Rodriguez's office on the Defiant. Through the viewport, they could see the damaged outpost being repaired by joint human-Zorian teams. 37 staff members, Rodriguez said quietly. All survived. Your decision to reinforce the shield saved them, Captain. Grant nodded. What's the official response from Earth? Measured, the Admiral replied. We understand this attack was not sanctioned by the Zorian government. We've requested the perpetrators face justice according to Zorian law. We remain committed to peace. And unofficially? Rodriguez's face hardened. Every defense fleet in the Alliance has been mobilized and placed on standby. If the Zorians make one wrong move, we're ready. A communication officer entered the room. Admiral, Commander Vexcor requests to speak with you both. On the screen, the Zorian commander looked troubled. The rogue warriors have been imprisoned, awaiting trial. The High Command sends their formal apologies for this incident. We accept, Rodriguez said formally. There is something else, Vexcor continued. Our intelligence service intercepted your military communications following the attack. Grant and Rodriguez exchanged glances. We now understand that while you spoke of peace, you prepared for war, Vexcor said. You showed restraint when you could have struck back. You offered diplomacy while holding strength in reserve. There was a new note in the Zorian's voice, something that might have been respect. That is our way, Grant replied simply. We hope for the best but prepare for the worst. The High Command wishes to continue our diplomatic meetings, Vexcor said. But in light of recent events, they have a new proposal to demonstrate that our peoples can move forward together. What kind of proposal? Rodriguez asked. One that follows our oldest traditions, Vexcor answered. A challenge that will determine, once and for all, whether humans truly are our equals. The great arena on Zoria Prime fell silent as the human shuttle landed. Built to hold 50,000 Zorians, every seat was filled today. This event would be broadcast across both civilizations. The stakes could not be higher. Admiral Rodriguez stood with Captain Grant at the entrance to the human preparation chamber. Inside, Lieutenant Paul Martinez sat quietly, eyes closed in concentration. Are you certain about this? Rodriguez asked him. There's still time to find another solution. Martinez opened his eyes. At 34, he was one of Earth's most decorated Marines with extensive combat training. His body was fit and strong by human standards, but he would be facing a Zorian warrior. I volunteered, Admiral. I understand what's at stake. The challenge had come from the Zorian High Command 1 week earlier. According to their ancient traditions, when two civilizations reached an impasse, they could resolve it through ritual combat. Champions would fight to prove their species' worth. If the human won, Earth would be recognized as equals. If the Zorian won, humans would accept a subordinate status in their relationship. Earth's leaders had initially rejected the idea as primitive, but when all diplomatic alternatives failed, they reluctantly agreed. The Europa attack had damaged trust between the species. This challenge offered a path forward without full-scale war. Remember your training, Grant said, placing a hand on Martinez's shoulder. You don't need to match their strength. Use your speed and adaptability. Martinez nodded. I've studied every recording we have of Zorian combat techniques. They're powerful but predictable. They've never needed to evolve their fighting style because they always win through sheer force. A Zorian official entered the chamber. It is time, he announced. Martinez stood and took a deep breath. He wore a lightweight combat suit designed to offer protection without restricting movement. Earth's best scientists had worked day and night to create it for this moment. The arena roared as Martinez walked out into the central ring. The floor was made of a hard sand-colored material. 4 large pillars stood at equal distances around the circle. Overhead, a transparent dome let in the blue-green light of the Zorian sky. From the opposite side came his opponent. Kravzak was the Zorian Empire's champion warrior, undefeated in 200 years of combat. He stood 9 feet tall, his gray-blue skin covered in natural armor plates. His 4 yellow eyes focused intently on the human. High General Zaxkar's voice boomed across the arena. Today, we witness the ancient rite of challenge. The human Paul Martinez faces champion Kravzak to determine whether humans stand as equals or subjects to the Zorian Empire. The rules are simple. The fight continues until one surrenders or can no longer continue. No weapons are permitted beyond what nature has provided. Martinez looked at the massive claws on Kravzak's hands. Nature had been more generous to some species than others. Begin, the High General commanded. Kravzak charged forward with surprising speed. Martinez dodged to the side, but the Zorian anticipated this and changed direction, catching the human. With a glancing blow that sent him rolling across the arena floor, pain shot through Martinez's side. Nothing broken, but it would bruise badly. He scrambled to his feet as Kravzak advanced again. This time, Martinez waited until the last moment before dropping low and sliding between the Zorian's legs. As he passed through, he struck hard at the back of Kravzak's knee joint. The Zorian stumbled but didn't fall. The crowd roared with a mixture of approval and anger. No opponent had landed an effective strike against Kravzak in decades. "The human is quick," Science Director Mazkal observed from the leadership box. "But quickness alone will not win against Kravzak's power." Commander Vexikor watched intently. "Perhaps, but humans have surprised us before." The fight continued for 30 minutes. Martinez used the arena's pillars to limit Kravzak's movements. He landed several precise strikes, but none seemed to seriously hurt the Zorian. Meanwhile, Kravzak had caught Martinez twice more, each blow leaving the human increasingly battered. In the human observation box, Captain Grant watched with growing concern. "He can't keep this up much longer. He's looking for a pattern," Rodriguez replied. "That's what makes Martinez special. He studies his opponents, finds their weakness." On the arena floor, Martinez was breathing hard. His ribs ached where Kravzak had struck him. The Zorian seemed barely winded, but Martinez had been watching carefully. Each time Kravzak attacked, he followed the same sequence of movements. Like many dominant predators, the Zorian had never needed to adapt his fighting style. When Kravzak charged again, Martinez didn't dodge. Instead, he timed his movement perfectly and leaped upward. Using the Zorian's own momentum, he climbed onto the warrior's back and locked his arms around the alien's thick neck. The crowd fell silent in shock. No one had ever seen such a tactic used against a Zorian warrior. Kravzak roared and tried to throw Martinez off. He slammed backward into a pillar, crushing the human between his body and the stone. Martinez gasped as the air was forced from his lungs, but he held on. He tightened his grip, applying pressure to specific points on the Zorian's neck. "What is he doing?" High General Zaxkar demanded. Science Director Mazakal leaned forward. "He appears to be cutting off blood flow to Kravzak's brain. I did not think humans knew Zorian physiology so well." Kravzak's movements became slower and less coordinated. He staggered, then fell to one knee. Still, Martinez held on, ignoring the pain from his own injuries. The Zorian champion tried to stand one last time, then collapsed forward onto the arena floor. Martinez released his hold and rolled away, rising unsteadily to his feet. Kravzak lay unconscious but breathing. The arena was completely silent. In 200 years of combat, no one had ever seen Kravzak defeated. A human, physically inferior in every way, had accomplished what no other species had. Medical teams rushed to attend to both fighters. As they carried Kravzak from the arena, Martinez stood alone in the center, swaying slightly from exhaustion and pain. High General Zaxkar rose from his seat. Tradition demanded he acknowledge the outcome. "The human champion prevails," he announced, his voice strained. "As agreed, humans shall be recognized as equals to Zorians." The words seemed to cause him physical pain. 5,000 years of Zorian history had never recorded such an admission. In the human preparation chamber, doctors treated Martinez's injuries. 3 broken ribs, a dislocated shoulder, and numerous bruises covered his body. Yet he had won. "How? Did you do it?" Grant asked. He was stronger in every way. Martinez winced as the doctor wrapped his ribs. "I watched recordings of his previous fights. He always follows the same attack patterns. No one ever lasted long enough to notice before." "You risked everything on that final move," Rodriguez observed. "It was the only way," Martinez replied. "I couldn't match his strength, so I had to use what humans do best: adapt." Later that evening, Commander Vexkor visited the human delegation. "Kravzak has recovered. He wishes to meet the one who defeated him." Martinez, heavily bandaged but able to walk, followed Vexkor to a private chamber. Inside, the Zorian champion sat in a large chair. His yellow eyes studied Martinez carefully. I have fought for 200 years, Kravzak said slowly. Never did I think a creature of your size could defeat me. Size isn't everything, Martinez replied. No, the Zorian. Agreed. Today I learned this. He stood and, to everyone's surprise, bowed slightly to Martinez. The High Command honors its agreement. Humans are now officially recognized as equals to Zorians, the first such designation in our history. As Martinez left the chamber, he found Captain Grant waiting for him. You've changed history today, Grant said. For the better, I hope. Grant nodded toward a large window where Earth was visible as a distant blue dot in space. For both our worlds. 1 year after Lieutenant Paul Martinez's victory in the arena, a new structure stood in orbit between Earth and the Moon. The Alliance Station was a massive ring-shaped platform built by joint human and Zorian teams. It served as the headquarters for the historic treaty being finalized today. Ambassador Lisa Garcia stood at the viewport in the main conference chamber. At 52, she had spent her career building bridges between different cultures on Earth. Now she faced her greatest challenge, establishing a lasting peace with the most feared empire in the galaxy. Quite a view, isn't it? Captain William Grant said, joining her at the window. Earth hung below them, a blue marble wrapped in white clouds. I never thought I'd see this day, Garcia admitted. When we first encountered the Zorians, everyone expected war. Everyone except you, Grant replied. You were the one who convinced the United Nations to try diplomacy first. Garcia smiled. And you were the one who faced them without flinching. We both played our parts. The door opened and Commander Vexcor entered with several Zorian officials. In the year since the challenge, Vexcor had been promoted to diplomatic overseer, a new position created specifically for managing relations with humans. The High Command representatives have arrived, Vexcor announced. They are ready to begin the ceremony. The main hall of the station had been designed to accommodate both species comfortably. Humans and Zorians filled the room, with translators ensuring everyone understood the proceedings. At the center stood a large table where the treaty would be signed. High General Zaxkar entered flanked by guards. Though he had initially opposed equal status for humans, he had come to respect their capabilities. Behind him walked Science, Director Mazkal, whose research on human adaptability had helped convince many skeptical Zorians of humanity's value. Admiral Rodriguez represented Earth's military forces. She and Zaxkar had developed a cautious professional relationship over months of security negotiations. President Diane Russell led the human diplomatic delegation, having traveled from Earth for this historic occasion. Today marks a new chapter for our civilizations, President Russell began. 1 year ago we were strangers, uncertain if peace between us was possible. Now we stand together as partners, ready to face the future side by side. High General Zaxkar stepped forward. His voice was deep and powerful, carrying throughout the hall. For 5,000 years, the Zorian Empire stood alone as the dominant force in this region of space. We conquered what we desired and destroyed what threatened us. This was our way. He turned to look at the assembled humans. Then we encountered your kind. You showed neither fear nor submission. You demonstrated courage, intelligence, and something we had forgotten: the ability to change and grow stronger through cooperation rather than conquest. Ambassador Garcia presented the treaty to the leaders of both species. This agreement establishes not just peace between our peoples, but a true alliance. Joint defense, shared technology, cultural exchange, and mutual respect form its foundation. As the leaders signed the document, applause filled the room. Humans shook hands with Zorians, attempting to adapt the gesture to their alien allies. Different anatomy. Outside the conference hall, Lieutenant Martinez, now Colonel Martinez, stood with Kravzak. The two former opponents had become unlikely friends, with Kravzak serving as a military liaison between their species. Your training centers on Earth have requested I visit again, Kravzak said. They wish to learn more Zorian combat techniques. And our instructors will continue teaching your warriors about adaptive strategy, Martinez replied. We both have much to learn from each other. Across the station, joint teams of human and Zorian scientists worked together in research labs. Dr. Samantha Wells supervised a project combining Zorian materials technology with human computer systems. The results promised advances neither species could have achieved alone. "The cellular structure of this Zorian alloy is remarkable," she told her team. "If we can interface it with our neural network designs, we could create computing systems far beyond anything currently existing." A Zorian scientist named Trowell nodded in agreement. "And your artificial intelligence theories solve problems we have struggled with for centuries. Together we move forward faster." 6 months later, the Alliance faced its first major test. A hostile species known as the Draxian Horde launched a surprise attack against the human colony on Proxima Centauri b. The colony was home to 6,000 civilians and had minimal defenses. When the distress call reached Earth, Admiral Rodriguez immediately dispatched the defense fleet, but the colony was 4 light-years away. Help would arrive too late. The colonists prepared for the worst as Draxian ships entered orbit. Known for their brutality, the Draxians had terrorized several systems near Zorian space for decades, always careful to avoid direct conflict with the powerful empire. Governor Steve Hammond gathered the colony's small security force. "We evacuate as many people as possible to the underground shelters," he ordered. "We hold out as long as we can and pray help arrives." As the first Draxian landing craft descended through the atmosphere, sensor operators detected new ships entering the system. The distinctive energy signatures of Zorian battlecruisers appeared on their screens. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead Zorian vessel." Commander Vexcor's face appeared on screen. "Governor, Hammond, the Zorian Empire's 3rd battle fleet is moving to intercept the Draxian forces. Hold your position." The colonists watched in amazement as Zorian ships engaged the Draxians. The battle was brief and decisive. Zorian weapons tore through Draxian shields, destroying or disabling every vessel. When Earth's fleet arrived hours later, they found the colony safe under Zorian protection. Admiral Rodriguez met with Commander Vexicor on the colony's main landing pad. "Thank you for your intervention, Commander. Without you, we would have lost thousands of lives." "The treaty is clear," Vexcor replied. "An attack on human territory is an attack on the Alliance. Still, the Draxians have never been your concern before." "Things change, Admiral. My people are learning this from yours." Later, as they inspected the colony's defenses, Vexcor explained to a group of junior officers why the alliance with humans mattered. "For generations we conquered because we believed ourselves superior," he said. "We measured worth only in physical strength and military power. Humans taught us to see value in differences, in new ways of thinking." A young Zorian officer asked, "Is it true you once called humans the only species to truly equal Zorians?" "I did," Vexcor acknowledged. "But I was wrong. They are not our equals. They are our complements. Where we are strong, they are flexible. Where we are rigid, they adapt. Together, we are more than either could be alone." On Earth, schools began teaching Zorian history alongside human achievements. On Zoria Prime, cultural centers displayed human art and literature. Trade flourished between their worlds. Joint military exercises became common. Scientists from both species made breakthroughs that benefited everyone. Ambassador Garcia, watching a group of Zorian and human children playing together during a cultural exchange program, remarked to President Russell, "They once were the most terrifying species in the galaxy." "Until they met their human equals," Russell finished with a smile. "No," Garcia corrected her. "Until they met their human friends." Throughout the galaxy, other species watched in amazement as the feared Zorian Empire stood side by side with the newcomers from Earth. The Alliance changed the balance of power, creating stability where conflict had once been inevitable. And it all began because one species refused to show fear, and another found the wisdom to recognize the strength in that courage.